Evening, everyone. Happy New Year to you all. The first live chat of 2023. Live question time. Any questions, you know what to do here. Post up any questions you've got down the side of the screen. I'll answer them as soon as I see them. Hope you all had a lovely New Year, Christmas and New Year. Just for the purpose as well, I'm hoping to go down to London and early February to visit a couple of areas of London for taking more photographs and videos. Not sure how many videos I'll be able to get. It might be about half a dozen or so. And obviously they'll be appearing up on when I put them onto video format as well up here on the site. I'm also working on bringing out another filming locations for the On the Buses, the first film. Thinking on doing another one, more extended one, because the one that's up on the to view at the moment, it's not got all of the filming locations in it. So there's probably about another 30 or 40 filming locations to add to the one that's already up there. So I'll see how much I can get cracked on with that over the next few days. Hopefully I'll have that up on the channel maybe within the next few weeks. Depends how quick they can do it. It's a little bit complicated, splicing all the images and all that together, and then adding over the voiceover for that, and adding in text and all that. So there's a lot of groundwork to do on it. So you know what to do. If you've got any questions at all, just post them up. What I mentioned before Christmas as well, that's still in the pipeline, but when it will be, I'm not sure. I'm not settled on a date yet. As the walking tour. What do you mean? Do you mean this for you? I think that's what you mean, isn't it? I'm not sure that anything actually happened to it, if you see what I mean. We'd have just remained in the no, that's not the original now. Obviously that'll probably have been stored somewhere at Elstree somewhere, or some collector might have got hold of it by now, the actual original one. So you know what to do. Got any questions, post them up and ask away, and I'll answer them as soon as I see them on the screen. As I understand, it was quite a private funeral. He was a private man. I know there's a poster, somebody posted up a picture a while back. I've done the rounds on various Facebook groups, which they say is Bob Grant. I had my doubts when I seen it. It does look very much like him, but I would doubt that it actually was him, because it looks like it was taken probably in the very last few months, maybe last year of his life. But as I know it, that span of his life, he wasn't going out and jollying it up in pubs, which he seemed to be doing in that photograph there. So I put doubts on that. But as I understand it, from what I hear, it was quite a private funeral. not because he obviously nobody wanted to attend it or anything like that. Just the way that I think they family and everything wanted it, and it was quite somber, sort of like mood around his passing, obviously because of the nature of it. I've not really got any issues with it. I mean, Rabbit and Snail, Morris Blight of LC Studios does them, and obviously I've worked on a couple of events with him. I mean, what Steve Luxton gets up to is his business, but everyone knows my feeling on the person. Don't really want to go into it on a live video and dig up old issues all over again. Hi, Nathan. You got any questions? Just post them up and answer them, and I'll answer them as soon as I see them on the screen. You could run a Google on that, and you'll probably find if there's any actually for sale. They do come up now and again, but they tend to be owned by private owners. Basically, now it's in like people have bought them. Right, Alan, I answered this on the. Someone asked this question on the rabbit and snails video, which I put them right with, but I'll go over it again for your answer there. The TV series, the buses were green. The TV series was owned by London Weekend Television. They used Eastern National buses. The green and cream was the Eastern National livery anyway, so they stuck with that for the buses and on the buses, the TV series. When the films came to be made, LWT hadn't written anything into the contracts about holding the rights to the films. So when Hammer came calling, they got in touch with writers, Ronnie Wolf, Ronnie Chesney, and asked who held the rights for the films, and they said, "Well, I guess we do." So they began discussions with Hammer about the films, and Hammer obviously were in charge of the films. But obviously, they had to be careful on copyright issues. They couldn't use the Luxton District name because that belonged to London Weekend and the TV series. The characters could be used because the characters were creations and owned by Ronnie Wolf and Ronnie Chesney. So it was fine to go ahead with the characters and a new setting, films, a new bus depot, a new bus livery. That's why you don't want to look at the films and think that they're in any way connected to the TV series. The only connection there is the characters, but it's not a direct continuation of the story or anything like that. So for the films, when they came to being made, they couldn't use Luxon District green buses, so they had to use different fictional bus company, Town and District, and they didn't want to go down the same route as risking any copyright with making them green buses, so they changed them to a red liveried buses. So that's why they're green in the TV series and red in the films. Yeah, the Regis painting still exists. Not so long ago, it would probably only be about 6 months ago, I think. I read somewhere about them going on. There was a couple of them that were up for sale that sold for somewhere up in the high hundreds of pounds anyway. Might have been even into the low thousands of pounds. So, yeah, there's still paintings around, definitely. Um, I'm not sure if they've been on in recent times in the cinemas. I know years ago at the um, in Boreham Wood there was a screening of it as part of the event, and I know we done a screening up at our Holiday on the Buses event. I wouldn't say that was a cinema, but it was on a big screen anyway. We had it there, the Holiday on the Buses. But at actual cinemas itself, I couldn't say for sure anywhere else in terms of that. There was a Leyland Atlantean, Alan. Yeah, Happy New Year to you as well, Pete. Yeah, definitely a Leyland Atlantean, that bus. I think, if I'm right in saying, that ended up getting farmed out to Hong Kong shortly after it was used in Holiday on the Buses. It got shipped out to it with the what was Kowloon Bus Company or something in Hong Kong, and then I think it was scrapped sometime in the early 1980s. Yeah, that's all on a video here that I've done a few months back, Alan. If you want to look and see where they filmed that, that was done at up at Old Reading and I've forgotten the district it is. Up at Old Reading in North London, anyway, a beauty spot anyway. I don't know. I've got in touch. I've got touch with somebody here, Big Issue, or somebody who's selling items and stuff like that, and they'll be able to tell you about like memorabilia and press books and stuff like that. If you're looking to buy stuff, I can put you in touch with them. If you want, Big Issue, it's up to you. First protocol is the two locations I'm hoping to visit in February will be Peckham and Battersea, and I think is it like just south of Peckham. That's probably ones that will probably be able to take in. They'll probably only have 2 full days down in London for these ones. If I do manage to stretch it out to 3 days, if I stretch that out to 3 days, I might be able to take in maybe an area like Sutton or Modern as well. But at the moment, it'll probably only be like Peckham and Battersea. Probably managed to do the Battersea ones, and maybe definitely one day, probably an afternoon or a morning, and it'll probably take about a day and a half for all of the Peckham filming locations. And obviously by then, February, I think it's starting to get a little bit lighter then, so there may be a few more minutes daylight hours to play with, which is handy. Yeah, I've been sort of like, I remember, probably I'm just a little bit older than you. I was born in '68, so I remember watching it like from like the first round of repeats, probably from maybe the mid 1970s. Obviously, anything earlier than that, then obviously it's a bit of a cloudy memory. So I definitely remember watching the first one of the repeats that there was in the sort of like the mid '70s up to the late '70s, and then it disappeared off our screens. Um, I was always a fan of stuff like Carry On films. Carry On films were more constant, like Carry Ons have always been repeated on telly, but with On the Buses, you sort of got the TV series, and then from about the late '70s, it disappeared, and they weren't repeated again until maybe the 1990s, mid 1990s, when our satellite channel picked it up. I can't remember what it was. Something tells me it was Granada Men and Motors, or something like that. And that's when I sort of like fell in love with Olive again, which is just sort of like you get to see it and our adults lights, because obviously when I last seen it, I was only a kid then, and obviously a lot of the jokes went over your head, sort of thing. So you get to appreciate it as an adult, if you see what I mean. When I saw them again in the mid 1990s, it's the money and things it costs putting onto. You need blank discs. You need to be able to put it all together perfectly. I'm not the most technical savvy person to do all of that, and it's available on YouTube anyway. So if I was to put it onto disc and sell them, it would just probably the amount of money that it's going to cost for me to transfer them onto disc, buy the blank discs, make sure they're all up to standard and everything like that. It's just added work on my behalf, if you see what I mean. I'm not really a memorabilia collector myself. Probably out of all the stuff I've got, the most prized things that I've got is probably it's probably my book, my original book, which I've managed over the years to get loads and loads of signatures in it. So if you have a look, I've shown this before. The amount of signatures it's got in it. It's got signatures in it from people that are no longer with us, like Alan Curtis, Ronnie Wolf, Ronnie Chesney. Um, let's see, Hal Dyer, um, Anna Karen, obviously. Um, Harry Fielder, who was an extra in couple of the films. So there's a heck of a lot of signatures on there from people that are no longer with us, and other people such as John Lyons, Nina West, Roy Skeggs, Roger Ferris, and Cheryl Hall. Stuart Allen's no longer with us as well, of course. So it's probably that I would say. This is probably my most prized possession. Plus, of course, it's added because obviously I wrote the book, if you see what I mean. No, that's right. There are a few around. I mean, Spectre and Son's another one, the Fourth Doctor, that's still got a long-lasting fan club that are still watching it passionately, if you know what I mean. Um, um, Porridge has got quite a following as well, so there are other ones from around about that either that has got a strong following still. But on the buses, it's certainly right up there. Cheers, Brian. Only one from the movie still exists, and that's the one that Stan's seen on board. I would say driving, but of course he wasn't actually driving because he never had a license to drive. He could drive the bus, but he wasn't an insured driver, I should say. So that's the WNO 896, I think it is, the Bristol KSW. That still does the rounds. It's been preserved by a private owner, and you do see it on bus rallies up and down the country. I'll just get the right license plate for it. I've got it down here in Mother Book, my A to Z. I can tell you exactly what just for sure the bus that it has been preserved. Yeah. Yeah, it's a Bristol KSW from the first film. Hi, James. Happy New Year to you. And it's I think it's WNO 896 Bristol KSW that's still preserved. They were all Eastern National buses, but they have been retired from service, if you see what I mean. That's the one there, I think, that survives 859. WNO. $857, that's it there. So I'll send you the link over. You can have a look at it there if you want. I'll just post it up on the screen for you, Brian. So hold on just a tick. There you go, Brian. Have a look at that. You'll be interested in that, I think. Yeah, the one, Scott, that has still continued to elude me as the one from, I think it's Nowhere to Go, when they're out in the countryside and the motorbike crashes and you see Olive, she thinks she's bleeding, but it's a bus top water bottle and Arthur ends up in a ditch and you see the camera cuts the shot and you see the wheel rolling down past a finger post sign on a country lane. All of those scenes and that they haven't been able to pinpoint or find. There's just not really enough clues to go on there. I've scoured all over using Google Street View and all of that, north of London, northwest of London, northeast of London, west of London. I've never really been able to pin it down. I'm not sure if he was in Coronation Street or not then. It's feasible that he hadn't quite started on that yet. I think he came into maybe Coronation Street around about maybe 1974 or something, 75, shortly after he had been in on the buses. Yeah, just looking at Wikipedia, it was 1976 he went into Coronation Street. So what I say is correct. It's he wouldn't have quite been in on the buses then in Coronation Street then. The main cast that I met was Anna Karen. I did attend Stephen Lewis's funeral, met his nephew there, who was actually in an episode on the buses himself. I've met a lot of the other supporting cast, though, a few times. Met Hal Dyer, who was married to Michael Robbins. Met a heck of a lot, maybe around about between 40 and 50 people that have actually had roles in on the buses or were crew members on the buses. Nah, I don't collect. I mean, I've got ones that people gave me, like family members. Like when our book first came out, they done a sort of like a special little gift for me. If you're looking at the buses up there, and that was all just done as a special gift for me getting the book published. If you know what I mean, which is like there. You can see the engraving on it. It's gone a bit rusty now. Just said about the publishing of my book. They done that specially for me, like. But I don't actually collect. I don't actually collect the what do we call it, the buses or anything like that. Yeah, it's now only out on a green. It's in a smaller, like paperback format now. It's exactly the same book, but they've done a reprint of it. So it went from being a hardback with a red cover to a paperback with a green cover, but it still kept the same name on the buses, the complete story. But there are three other books out there, of course, that I've done. My second book was quiz book, the On the Buses quiz book, and then there was this book, and then an A to Z of On the Buses. And then On the Buses, the filming locations. Yeah, the red book was a hardback, but that's not available anymore. That's since that's went out of print, and it's been replaced by a paperback copy, which has got a green cover. Still the same book, all the same material within it. It's just a reprint as a paperback. Thanks very much, Lisa. Much appreciated. That'll go down towards paying for my going towards my trips down to London to do the Peckham film and location videos. I do hope another one I do hope to do, which will be really good, and I think you'll really appreciate it here. Is I am hoping to visit the holiday camp. I don't think it's really something that they'll take on board. That isn't James, if you see what I mean. They would only things they would only really do it, I think, if it was an LWT or an ITV affiliated book, if you see what I mean, and not from just an author who's written about an ITV sitcom or something like that. If it was ITV affiliated, there's no doubt about it. They would probably put it on at the end of that, but not just for like an independent author like I am, if you see what I mean. Yeah, there's certainly a lot down there, Lisa. There's no doubt about it in terms of like Boreham Wood as the centre of on the buses, actually, in terms of locations. If you're looking for some place to visit in such a small area, you could probably find yourself visiting somewhere over 150 filming locations, and that's just in the Boreham Wood area. I'll say probably 150, but it might actually be talking about 200 if you stretch it out to areas just within maybe a short bus journey, like out to, if you want to catch a bus out to Shenley, there's more there. And there's more over there, sort of like up at St Albans, where the toilets are, where you see the two buses come together and they run out to go to have a pee. Oh, that's what I'm talking about doing, Lisa. I mean, if you look back, I've done a video a few just before Christmas, and I do plan on doing a walking tour. I've done lots of walking tours anyway. I've done walking tours in Wood Green, in Wembley, and Enfield. I've lost count how many I've done around Boreham Woods, and that's where I will be doing another one probably in March time. For anyone that's wanting to attend that, I will set a date for that uh, in the next few weeks. I hope to. Obviously, it might be maybe March or something like that when it's just starting to get a little bit less cold. So anyone that wants to come along, they can do. Obviously, the charge will be something like about £10. The walking tour will probably run for maybe 2.5 hours, maybe even 3. I don't know. Depends how far people are willing to walk. I am willing to sort of like stretch it to people if they want to pay their bus fares, and I can take them to further afield filming locations as well on the day, or either that or split it into a 2-day sort of weekend of walking tours, if you see what I mean. It's something that we'll have to think a little bit more about before the date. If you watch this group though, Lisa, or if you're on the Facebook group, I don't know if you do Facebook, Lisa. I think I've seen your name around, but don't quote me on that. Um, I will let people know on here about if any dates of the tour, and I'll definitely post it up on my group as well. So if you're a member of my Facebook group, then I'll post it up there as well as soon as I've set a date. So it's saying that, James, but the last time that we've done a walking tour down in Boreham Wood, it was a little bit of ice on the ground. It was so cold. No, she never actually told me what her favourite episode was. Um, it would have been one from the earlier parts of the thingies. I did get the impression that she didn't enjoy too much. Although I've heard a lot of bad stories about Brian Hazard, the director there, so I'm not too sure if she's too keen or happy with the later on series, if you see what I mean. So I would more than bet that would be something from probably series 3 or something like that. Would have been a favourite episode, I would imagine. All right, let's see if you've. Let's see. There you go. That's you in now, Lisa. It was never really went into much detail anyway. As the characters were all sort of like there was a misty ness to the backgrounds of the characters of Blakey and Jack, because you've got to remember that it was vehicle, pardon the pun, for Reg Varney, for the character of Stan Butler. The rest of the characters were you could say irrelevancies. They're just pattern for the jokes for Reg, his character Stan, although they became much more important obviously as it went on. Obviously they had a lot of fans and all that, but it wasn't something that the writers put too much emphasis on the life of Jack and Blakey. Obviously that's why there was a lot of to and fro, and then what you saw, like there was one of the episodes, Hot Water, when he goes along and when he says he's got his no, there's one that's not Hot Water, but Hot Water is actually not Hot Water. Sorry, which one is it? Yeah, it's Hot Water when they're all coming along to join, have a bath. It is, and obviously you don't see any of the family there. But then again, there's an earlier episode when he says that he's speaks about his sister and all that. So that's where the grey areas come, just like Blakey. You had Blakey saying that he had his own place when Stan went and got a room there, and then later on he's talking about getting kicked out by his landlord. That's because it wasn't really put much detail onto the lives of Jack and Blakey, if you will. It was all cornered around Stan Butler, Reg's character. Hi, Dave. Yeah, that was probably mine as well, Steve. I'd say a lot of people had that as their favourite episodes. Although it can sort of like change. You can watch an episode and then you see maybe another episode comes on and then makes you laugh so much and you think, oh, that's my favourite, until you see another one again, like the Brute Yourself. But that's the one that sort of like comes to you, springs to mind straight away for me, as Brute Yourself. So keep your questions coming in and I'll answer them for you as soon as I see them on the screen. No, it was meant for the cinema. They're on the buses films. That's what they were. Cinematic like releases. There is an element of proof to that though, with Blakey's like with Jack's side of it, where he used to like when he says, "Oh, I used to do radios and all that on national service," because one of the I think it might be the interview that I've got up here on the channel. If not, it's the video, the interview I've got. There's another interview that I had somewhere, but God knows where it is. When I done an interview for my book, um, the DJ who done the interview with me said he had an interview that he done with Bob Grant on Kirkcaldy radio station from about the early 1980s, I think it was. And I think it's in that, I think he says that when he's asked if he had any hobbies, obviously he says that he liked sailing, does sailing whenever he could. I think that's on that one that's on the channel. But I think he also mentions that he loved tinkering with electrical equipment, like as a hobby. So there is some element of truth there, James, and the character between that and Bob himself, if you see what I mean. Well, there's ones coming up. I don't know if you're on my channel there. I mean, obviously on the Facebook channel, I'm running through doing another run through of all the filming locations from the TV series and films. At the moment, we've just finished. I've just finished running through the spin-off films from the locations from the first spin-off film. Obviously, there's a fair few new ones in that I've just done, which is the ones right down by the motorway side, right down by the side of the motorway. Um, and the holiday on the buses, there's probably about another 30 or 40 locations coming up there when I do the run through. Um, the ones that I'll be doing on video format for the channel here in Peckham, there'll be a lot down on where they filmed Goodbye Stan, where you see the bus coming out of the what was Banfield Coaches Depot. That's when you see Stan leaving the Luxton and Luxton when he's going to work in the car factory, and also the Carden Road, which you see a lot in Series 7 episodes, such as Hot Water, the Divorce, and then Gardening Time. There's some new locations as well up at Battersea, which you see in Gardening Time as well, which I'm hoping to obviously do and put them up onto the in video format up here. I think that'll change through time though, Lisa. I think I think that's similar to how BBC iPlayer used to operate. The stuff that you get up there is stuff that has been recently screened on ITV. So I think once they start showing more things on ITV3, they'll show up on ITVX as well for you to watch. I think that's the way that it really works. That's how iPlayer worked for a while, but that's changed somewhat. But I think ITVX might be doing it the way that BBC iPlayer used to work. If they show something, it'll show up on iPlayer or ITVX for them to show. It may be down to your rights thing as well. I don't know the ins and outs of on the buses, because obviously that's one that's been sold all around the world and everything like that. But I wouldn't panic. I think they will come up there eventually, if you see what I mean. Um, But of course, if you've got the DVDs, ITVX is sort of like redundant, basically, if you have the on the buses DVDs, because you can watch any of the episodes. Because by my experience, for some reason, you don't get Series 1, Series 2 episodes. It only seems to be from Series 3 onwards, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that they show on television. Whether it's because maybe they think the quality of the actual quality of the video, if you see what I mean, isn't up to shown on television. I don't know. We'd be surprised if in the coming weeks, months, once it establishes itself more, ITVX, that more stuff doesn't show up on ITVX in terms of on the buses episodes. I mean, of course. Happy New Year, fat lad. So keep your questions coming in. Any questions to do with on the buses? Ask them away here and I'll answer them for you. Anything to do with the filming locations, the cast, the crew, my books, walking tours, the events are organised, anything like that, I'm happy to answer. Well, that's a good question, Fox. It would really need to be ones that really integrate well. So Bill Maynard would definitely do. Spike Milligan was maybe a little bit too zany for on the buses, I think. He had his own brand of humour. Bill Maynard would have fitted in well, though. I would have liked to have seen more of the character Eupha Joyce played in it. If there had have been on the 8th series, she would have been ideal to try and incorporate her into the whole of the series, if you see what I mean. Might have been good if they had have maybe another way of integrating in. If they had have agreed to do an 8th series, it might have been an idea to try and integrate our depot manager in with much more lines for the depot manager, have him involved more in storylines as well in some way. Maybe someone to play him someday. I don't know. Maybe somebody like Kenny Williams would have been good, I suppose, really. But of course, that would be stretching it, I think, a bit too much to get somebody of his caliber and standing, if you see what I mean, into a sitcom. But that might have worked well because he was good in his positions of authority, if you see what I mean. If you're talking about in terms of busmen as well, it'll probably be in terms of busmen you're talking. Obviously, Bill Maynard, as you say, that was a good shout straight away. Obviously, there's people there that you could have said throw them like in and they would have been brilliant, like Ronnie Barker, for example. He would have been excellent in it as I don't know what he could have been really, maybe obviously had they been greedy and wanted him in a whole series, obviously take over as a new driver, as Jack's new driver or something like that. But of course, that would have been sort of like expecting far too much, really. Yeah, I don't think so, Scott, myself. They had the perfect opportunity in like 2019 um, to remaster it for the 50th anniversary release, but they didn't do it then, so I don't understand. I don't see why they would do it now. Yeah, Leonard Rossiter would have been good as well. He was another who could slot into various types of roles. As we saw, he was excellent in the episode of Steptoe and Son that he showed up in, obviously as Wigsby, and then a totally different character again in the Rise and Fall of Reggie Perrin. So he could sort of like turn his hand to um, anything really. So just keep your questions coming in. I'll answer them for you as soon as I see them on the screen. Now, I think bringing another driver in would have been more of a. I don't think it would really have happened worked alongside Stan because somebody of the caliber of Brian Murphy or maybe Ronnie Barker, for example, as a driver, they would need to be sort of like then elevated up into a starring role. I would feel you couldn't really have somebody of the caliber of Brian Murphy and Ronnie Barker um, into it and just have them playing a bit part role. Yeah, it's always good to put locations away that are like a permanent itch that's there that you would need to get sorted, if you see what I mean. So it's always good to get them, especially really awkward ones like that was to actually find, if you see what I mean, and pinpoint exactly where everything was. It took a lot of wandering around in the undergrowth, if you see what I mean, to find those locations. Um, yeah, there's a lot that there is a lot. I mean, one that sort of like was a good one to find, and finally was the one that appears in the Perfect Clippy, which is the terminus that the bus pulls into. Because I looked for that for so long, and I was sort of convinced that it was a location that might have been lost and bulldozed. The reason I couldn't find it for so long is because it's no longer got a street running down it, so you can't sort of like go and look around that particular area with Google Street View or Google Maps, because there's no way of getting down to ground level to look at the actual location. The only way I was sort of like had an idea where the location was. That was it. But I needed to be down at the ground level from 300 miles away, if you see what I mean. When the only way you can do that is on Google Street View. But of course, I've done another method and searched for houses and estate agents, and they always give you photographs of the surrounding sort of like properties and area and all that. And they're the ones that actually convinced me a little bit more that that was the location that I was looking for. It's on Kempsford Road in Lambeth. And when I went and looked at the nearest I could get to it on using Google Maps and Street View, convinced me a little bit more. Especially as it was an area that they filmed in for other scenes of on the buses. So the trouble that I went to finding it, how long I looked for it, that always gives me a little bit of satisfaction. I'm certain that there are other ones, the ones like on the that I've just managed to get down and photograph right next to the motorway on the M4 from the first spin-off film. Obviously, that's good to do because obviously I took a big risk going down there because they put it's not sort of the done thing to do, going down an embankment to the side of a motorway where a camera taking photographs, but I managed to get it done and got out of there without sort of like any trouble or anything like that. So that was a good one to get done as well. Sure there's other ones that I could think of as well straight away. Another good one was obviously the corridor and Holiday on the Buses. Everyone automatically thinks it was at Prestatyn, but it wasn't. It was actually at Elstree Studios, and that one just sort of like fell into my lap, that location. I was at our private party for Paul Welsh, MBE, who was obviously the man behind Saving the Studios. He ran the campaign Save Our Studios when they were looking to close down the studios. And when I was at the party, there was somebody who had worked at the studios, and they said, "Here, I'll take you somewhere that you might recognise." Took me out of the room that they had, the function room where they were holding the party at Elstree Studios. Took me along a couple of corridors, and they said, "Do you recognise this?" And there it was. It was a corridor that Olive walks down, and the flight of stairs that Stan comes down and does his phone call from as well, and where Stan and Jack clown around dancing before they go into Pester Blakey, and that's all in Elstree Studios. So there are a few, as you say, probably other ones would spring to mind later on as well, the more you think about it. So keep your questions coming in. I'll answer them for you as soon as I see them on the screen. As I was saying earlier, I don't think I actually got the point across before another question came out, but I am hoping as well sometime later this year to get into the holiday camp and do a whole load of videos at the holiday camp as well now and then, videos. That should be really good. Maybe hopefully do a live broadcast from the holiday camp as well. they might have kept the studio furniture for some time. It's probably beyond the state of repair now, though. Maybe they kept them obviously for the TV series for other LWT productions. Obviously, they might have cropped up in for that around that time. As for the motorbike and sidecar, that did stay in, and sort of like that was registered right up until I think it was like 2009 when it stopped getting registered. So it must have still been sort of like active and used on, because it was owned by a props company, if you see what I mean, that hired out its vehicles. They had a lot of different vehicles. So I think that one, the place that owned that is like Kingsbury and near Wembley. But I don't think that I don't think that's in existence anymore, because for the simple reason it stopped being registered from about 2009. So that tells me that sadly it's no more that vehicle. That was an episode I wasn't keen on for Blakey, for the Blakey's mum. She was so sort of like devoid of humour, if you see what I mean. That sort of like killed the episode for me. I'm afraid to say it wasn't my favourite episode at all. Far from it. It was probably one of my least favourite episodes. The only part that was I enjoyed about that episode was Jack doing his bingo calling when they were all playing bingo. Yeah, that would be the W35 Blue Star, which was a BSA as well. Obviously, it was a different bike that they used for the TV series. I think TV series they had a BSA M21 motorbike, which is used and that actually carried on into the I think the first two films, and then Holiday on the Buses had a different motorbike, the one that you're speaking of there, which was a BSA, I think W35 Blue Star, I think it was. It was maybe a slightly newer model, but still a very old motorbike in terms of today's, because I think it was sort of like a 1936 model or something like that. Okay, so if you're watching, there's a new book that's out that will interest a few of people here, I would hope. We knew this was coming out because the lady behind us was actually at one of the events I co-organised up in Boreham Woods, up at Prestatyn, the one of the official Holiday on the Buses cast reunion events. So, like, this is it here. But will it get a laugh? It's got the life of Doris here, written by Kate Crean, who was actually who is Doris's daughter, one of Doris's daughters there. So you can get that, and they'll post the link there. A link will get posted up in a few seconds' time, hopefully on the group chat there. I think Fox Mulder's digging it out for you now. Lots of pictures in it. Goes like through the lady's career as well. There you go, lots of pictures in it from really sort of like early days. See, I even get a mention in it as well there about, I think it's when we were first talking about the book at the actual event as well. See, I'll get more photos here, see if there's. There you go, there's another one that started us in 1977. So, as I say, lots of stuff to keep you interested there in that book. That's called But Will It Get a Laugh? Written by Kate Crean. And I'll see if I can get that link for you and post it up for you for anyone who's interested in that. I'll just see if I can get that link and post it up for you. That's a link to the details of the book. Let's see. No, none for him as far as I know, David. The only ones that's really got the release on the cast, obviously, that's one for Doris now as well, is the Reg Varney one, and that didn't actually cover the, only went up to his pre on the boss's days, called The Little Clown. All the other main cast, didn't have a book written about them. Bob, Michael, Stephen, or Anna, they all never had a book written about them, if you see what I mean. Read as well, he was actually working on a follow up to his book, or they was talking about doing a second copy covering the later years of his career, but that never actually came to pass. Well, the really early ones were ones that I've done videos of maybe about 5 years ago or something like that. The ones that are appearing up here now, I've probably only been doing them since after COVID. I think I had this channel, but it wasn't really geared towards on the bus. It was just a channel in general, but I wasn't really posting up any videos or anything like that. And then COVID came along, and then I think I posted up some virtual sort of like tours, because I knew where all the filming locations, all that was. And then obviously once COVID sort of like was beginning to clear, I was able to get out and do the actual video location, live location. So probably the amount that I've amassed over the last maybe couple of years, 2-3 years, I would say. There are older ones than that. If you look further back, maybe about 5 years, they were ones that I maybe done without really thinking out or putting it up on here as a video. So a lot of them don't have screen grabs added to them. So really, the live locations videos, I'll soon be able to tell you. Like the first one that I've done on here and added to this, added to the channel, would have been yeah, about August 2021. So sort of like while COVID was still biting then. Let's see, like this was the first one that was up there, and this was done in August 2021. But in terms of finding out where those locations were, then obviously since I've really been actively tracking down these locations, probably started doing that when I opened up my forum, which was started in 2006. So probably been collating filming locations, searching down filming locations since about 2006, 2007. So you're talking about 15 years of getting to know where these locations are. And then obviously in later years, putting them into live location visits and all of that, and adding screen grabs on as well. So you get an idea of where exactly it was or how what's changed compared to how it was when they filmed there. So keep your questions coming in. Anything to do with the filming locations, the cast, the crew, episodes, films, the proposed walk-in tour, the events that are organised, any of my books. Just post them up and I'll answer them for you as soon as I see them on the screen. Not currently. Obviously, one that I would like to do would have been our second edition of my film locations book. Problem of that is, as I've said before on here, like obviously when I done that book, the amount of locations that I've added to and found and things since then is absolutely it's snowballed. It's maybe got 3 times. So if a book was to come out, another edition of this book was to come out, if you bear in mind how thick that book that is there, it would be 3 times that width because I've got 3 times as many filming locations to put in it. And the problem with that is the more filming locations that you put in it, the more photographs there is to put in it, and then the more expensive it becomes to print and put into production. And then that in turn elevates the price of the asking price of the book. So it is a bit problematical there. It's something that I need to think long and hard about, if you see what I mean. 4 books, David. This was the first book I've done. This came out in 2009. That's On the Bus is a Complete Story. That's still available, but it's only in a paperback format. It's in a green paperback cover. It's got the same title, On the Bus is a Complete Story. That's still available on Amazon and such like. There's an On the Buses quiz book that you'll find on Amazon as well, which is still in print as well. That's a paperback, green cover as well. You've got, came out in 2012, still available, an A to Z of On the Buses. That covers sort of like general things, like it's got all, if you look into there, that's got basically everything and anything, like it's got everybody that was involved, like wardroom supervisor Laura Nightingale gives you a big write-up about her and what she's done in her career. All the characters, got character bios, cast bios. It's got, let's see, got that on the buses. It's got a good little sort of like an interview with Bob Grant in there as well. It's all in that book there, and A to Z of On the Buses. And obviously the film and locations book that was mentioned in there. On the Buses, the film and locations. So that's the 4 books that I've got out, David. I think I'm probably prouder of the Fox as owning the biggest database of On the Buses film and locations in the world, without a doubt. Because now I think it's somewhere around about 600 film and locations that I've got in my database, if you see what I mean. Like people might say, oh, well, what about LWT? They've got them all from the TV series, but they won't have any from the films. And the same with the people who made the films won't have any from the TV series. So that's why I can confidently say that I own the biggest database of the film locations in the world. James, I did always like the idea of doing a porridge book, but the problem is they've all been done to death and they won't be better because the porridge books that have come out, they've been written by the actual writers of porridge, like Dick Clement and Ian LaFrenne. I'm not going to be able to add anything that they haven't put into it. And I think there's another porridge book out that has a foreword written by Ronnie Barker, and you're not going to be able to get anything like of that quality either into your new book. So if you can't better it, then why even bother trying, is my motto, and there's no way that I'd be able to better something like that. So porridge is one that we'd like to have had a crack at. I've always been a big fan of the Carry On films, but they've all been done to death as well with books. I don't know how many books there is out there on Carry Ons. There's just astronomical amount. So basically, to actually bring something new to Carry On, if you see what I mean, franchise. The only other thing that you could probably maybe think along the lines of doing on the Carry On fronts is our film and locations book for the Carry On films. It's one way of doing it, I suppose, really, just dedicating it to Carry On film and locations. So just keep your questions coming in. I'll answer them for you as soon as I see them on the screen. And just to clear up as well, if people that if they're here and they are on the Facebook group, there was a sort of like it was a post that annoyed me really, was the one that like somebody posted up a picture of Michael Robbins and his family. Obviously, there was people making comments like, "Oh, was he a miserable person and all that in real life and things," without really grasping. Anybody could work out what it was anyway, and it was confirmed by the girl that was in it, who is Michael Robbins' daughter, Sarah. She is up on Facebook, and that's been posted elsewhere, and she has confirmed what I suspected, that I'd posted up on my Facebook group, that it was a posed photograph for the TV Times. TV Times photographer obviously wanted a photograph with them all looking like they were all sour faced and all of that, so that they could put a caption under it for the whole article. That was the whole idea of it. It wasn't because they were a miserable family and they were all unhappy at the time. It was nothing at all to do with that. It didn't stop the comments kept raining in about, oh, yeah, I tried explaining, and somebody else agreed with me that it was obviously a staged photograph for a magazine, but that was confirmed by Sarah. She said exactly that's what it was. That's how they wanted that photograph to go into the with a caption. But it did sort of like grate with me a bit, because there was people just piling in thinking, oh, they're miserable and all of that, without stopping to think about the reality of it and everything. And I will point out as well, this is something that I did point out on my on another page that I'm a member of. Yeah, that's the thing, James. You've got to you only really want to be adding something, writing a book on something that is like, that's why I done on the buses. I wasn't just because obviously I was a big fan, but obviously it was a big hole in the market because there'd never been any books out about on the buses, so it was like a blank canvas you had. Yep. Cheers for popping in, James. And thanks for asking questions as well. Yeah, just there was another post that came up on another channel that I do, another group that I post on Facebook, um, about these. You'll see them cropping up on some groups you may be on Facebook, saying that there's official on the buses items such as towels, trays, and all of that. That is total hogwash. The only people that can do official items like that are ITV themselves. And ITV, if you go to the ITV website, they've got some items that they've done for themselves, and they sell them themselves. There's no on the buses items up there because they are not verified and not recognised by ITV. ITV probably do not know about these. Well, they definitely don't know about them being out there, and they'd be whipped out of existence pretty soon if ITV did find out about them, because they're all just bootlegged items, if you see what I mean. So you just want to be aware of these items that you see calling themselves official on the buses memorabilia, because it isn't official. Official to me is stuff that has gone through and has got the okay from ITV to make those items and sell them. and you'd have a little tag on them saying verified by ITV or certified, sorry, by authenticated by ITV, basically. But there's nothing like that on them, which just tells you straight away. Yeah, that's what I mean. Exactly. They don't. That's all these places are like Africa, India that are making this merchandise, claiming it to be official, which is nothing of the sort. You know what I mean? It's people that are getting yeah. Well, people will go along and buy it anyway because they think, what the heck? It's an on the buses item, and they'll just buy it. But it's being fraudulently advertised as something that it isn't. It's not official. It's just like me calling one of my books an official on the buses book. It's not, because it's just that I wrote it myself. There's too many of this people trying to claim something as official, and it's not official. But nobody's there to blow them out over the coals for it, and they get away with it, which is pretty sad, really. But there you go. Went over. So keep your questions coming in. If you've got any more questions about on the buses, the films, the TV series, the walking tour that I've got planned, the buses themselves or anything, the filming locations, my books. What the first video are you asking about, Cheetah? The first video that I done was let's see. Soon tell you, because I can dig right back and find them in amongst my. The first actual filming location one that I put up was let's see, it was like a walking tour of Boreham Wood. That was it there. That was the first video that I'd done of the filming locations. And that got posted up in 2018, but I think it was recorded. It was actually recorded a few years before that. So I had it in a video. It wasn't, maybe it was probably recorded maybe 2016 or 17 or something like that, and then posted up in 2018. But as I say, the channel really started taking off around about when COVID was coming to the end, around about autumn 2021 and all that. That's when I really managed to get out and about and record all these videos and all that. No, I'm sure there has. I'm not too sure. There is one that I got, but I don't know what it is. I haven't posted it up on the. It was for my book launch in 2009. I know there was a book launch for that, Cheetah, but I don't think I've actually got a copy of it anywhere. It was an actual speech at my book launch in 2009. Oh, that was at the book launch of On the Buses, the complete story. That was my first book. I'm not sure if I've got it anywhere. I might have it on my computer somewhere, on a drive somewhere. It's not the best of quality, obviously, because the camera would have been, obviously, you're talking about 2009 standards, not your modern day sort of quality. But it's not one that I actually posted up onto the channel, if you see what I mean. As for any books about Elstree Studios during the On the Buses years, um, I'm certain that there are, definitely. I know that Paul Welsh done a book about the studios and all of that, and there are lots of other books out there about the other productions at the studios and such like as well. So I'm sure if you look around, you'll find them. Just Google books on Elstree Studios, and there have been quite a fair few written. I'm trying to see if I can find that video at all, if I've got it here. If you want to carry on posting up your questions while I'm having a look to see if I can find this video anywhere. So keep your questions coming in. Any more questions? And I'll answer them as soon as I see them on the screen. You just haven't continued to look for this video if you can find it. You might have more chance finding it here if you wait. Here's an interesting video I caught. Don't know what you have a look in there, you might be able to find a video there of that was taken at an event organised. Is Anna, I think she's sitting next to Stuart Allen and Ronnie Wolf and Ronnie Chesney doing our site signings. Yeah, that's an interesting point, Fox. Trying to think if there's been such an occasion. Obviously, the Blakey getting told it was long thought that it was cut and dried, that it was at the holiday camp, but of course it wasn't. It turned out to be at Elstree Studios at the back lot, and we know where that is now. Trying to think of other ones. Not that I can think of off the top of my head, but that one springs to mind straight away. There is that one that obviously is a running debate over when you see an holiday on the buses, where I believe it's on Alter Greg, but yourself believes it, or someone who was Reg's driver believes that somewhere over towards the castle, away out west, further west. So there's that one as well, where it's sort of like open to debate. But I really can't think of many more than that. Of course, at all times you can get thrown off, as you very well know, when we're hunting for the when we were hunting for. I've not done that one yet, Ben, but it is one that I will get round to doing eventually, obviously, because it does feature quite a lot. The Cedar Road, Lavender Hill Cemetery, it does feature quite a bit, so it is one that I will get round to doing and videoing, no doubt, at some point. No, it's not really changed at all, really. It's one of those locations that hasn't really changed at all. Obviously, graveyards and cemeteries aren't going to change anyway. Can't do any redevelopments in there, can they? So it's one place that's guaranteed to not have changed at all. Um, Not around that area, I don't think, because they're like that's sort of like where your older gravestones are. I think the newer gravestones are all thingied for another part of the cemetery. I went back there. I last went there maybe about a year ago, and there's certainly no more film locations around, no more gravestones around the area that Stan and Jack do a sunbathing at. All that was just in the depot. She was just standing in the depot, if I remember rightly, posing, and they take the photograph. I know you may be thinking of a publicity shot where you'd see her. I think she's sitting on the side of a bus or something, but that would have just been a publicity shot for the episode. Maybe features in a episode of the TV Times around that time or something like that. Um, And of course, the other one as well, Fox Mulder, you'll know yourself the amount of times that we spent wandering around, writing diagrams, trying to work out where that corridor was. And it turned out it was at Elstree Studios all along, the one that I mentioned earlier on. It was really good to find. That was another one as well. We were pretty sure that it was up at Prestatyn, and it wasn't. Well, those things cost too much money to fly and everything like that. The amount of money and the quality as well for the photos that you get from it on up to scratch, unless you're buying one that's maybe about £10,000 or something like that. Apart from that, your cheaper ones have all got maybe 2 megapixel camera or something like that. So it's not, you wouldn't be able to do anything with the photographs that you take from it, if you see what I mean. It would be good things to have, though, in terms of just out of personal interest for side hobbies and all that, though. But they wouldn't really be something that you could use for photographing filming locations. Apart from if you wanted one from a similar height to, let's say, at the start of holiday on the buses, you see the camera looking down on the holiday camp. Obviously, that would have been filmed from hoist. The camera would have been up the hoist. Obviously, to get a light for light like that, that's the only way you could really do it today. And there's a scene from the first On the Buses film when you see Bob going to look out of the Jack going to look out of the, or is it Stan? Sorry, goes to look out of the window and you see Blakey's bus pulled up. Or is it Jack? I can't remember which one it is because they're both up there. Obviously, you see him looking down at the scene below, and the only way you could really get a accurate light for light is obviously a drone flying at about 10 feet up around that area. Hi Neil, nice to see you here. Yeah, it was only just sort of like a spur of the moment I decided to do this live chat tonight, being the first to be the first one of the new year. Hope you had a good new year, Neil. Peaceful one. It was for me. It was quite a quiet one. It'll be probably maybe second week of February. My trip down to London, probably taking in locations in Peckham and locations in Battersea. all sort of like locations that featured in Series 7 of On the Buses. It may stretch to maybe doing maybe Sutton or something like that if I stretch it to a 3 day stay. But at the moment, it looks like it'll only it'll only be a 2 day stay at the moment. Um, so it'll be locations in Peckham, locations in Battersea. Yeah, train down, train back up again. Yeah. Hotel will probably stay in a hotel and then Eden Common. Yeah, can get one there by good rates. And yeah, it's still 300 quid though, isn't it, Ben? It's 300 quid that is sort of like I haven't got to spend on that sort of thing. And as I say, for the use you would get out of it, you know what I mean? It's £300 better spent elsewhere, if you see what I mean. If you get into a lot of money, obviously it's something, but you need to think it's not just the drone that you're buying, you need the license. The license costs money as well. Yeah, well, I should know about that then because I work on the Caledonian Sleeper. So that's how I would travel down. I would travel down on the Caledonian Sleeper, then stay in a hotel in Eden Common, travelling to and from um, Peckham and Battersea. Obviously, by early February, I do believe it's starting to get a little bit lighter. So the days are slightly getting a little bit longer then, which is all well and good. But I'm always an early riser anyway, so even if it's sort of like dark at say 7 o'clock in the morning, that's when I'll be travelling down for the first light to be there to photograph and video these locations that I'm going to aim for. Yeah, that's true as well. Yeah. Well, it was Ben until Circle took over. But yeah, the earlier you get out, I always find that as well. The better you get chance you get of getting these locations without crowds and all of that. Obviously, look to getting how many locations? I would say if I'm lucky, I might be able to get maybe about another 50 locations, maybe for those which is really does go down really well. And as I say, probably when I get these locations, that will definitely take the amount that I've that I'll have in terms of total filming locations up to over the 600 barrier. Yeah, that's right. There's a few down there as well to get maybe about maybe half a dozen, maybe a few more than that. Actually, just looking now, because I've got them all listed down here at the moment, and the database is 589 locations. So once I've done Peckham, it'll be over 600 straight away without a shadow of a doubt. Oh, there is such a video up here. I have got a video up there on the group. It's I'll just post it to you just now, although some of these might have been solved because I did do it quite some time ago, but I'll just find it for you just now. If you just bear with me. I think it's called The Ones That Got Away. So anyone's willing to go and have a look at this, and I think I list the filming locations here, the ones that there you go, all done just now. There you go. That one's sort of like I called that video The Ones That Got Away. So they're ones that haven't been found yet. Some on there have been found on there though, but the standout ones that have that's a real thorn in the side is the one where they, as I said earlier on, the sidecar crashes in the country lane. Olive thinks he's got blood, but as the hot water bottles burst and stands, Arthur's ended up in the ditch with his arms up, legs up in the air, and you see the wheel of the motorbike rolling down past the finger post road sign. I think Sweeney would probably beat it because Sweeney and Minder, a lot of it was filmed on location. You got to remember that as well, there were longer episodes. So you had longer episodes, you had more on location than what you did on the buses. There was episodes, there was probably about maybe about a dozen episodes that had no filming locations whatsoever. It was just all filmed in the studio. That wasn't the case with Sweeney. Every single episode, you could be guaranteed there'll be a filming location in it, definitely. Of course, I think Sweeney had slightly fewer episodes, but when you take off all the episodes that didn't use filming locations and on the buses, and consider they were only half an hour long, well, a little bit less than half an hour long, then you can see that Sweeney will definitely have more filming locations. So just keep your questions coming in. I'll answer them for you as soon as I see them on the screen. Just as well, we'd have got my message anyway. I think it was around about New Year. We pushed through the 1,600 members, subscribers barrier. Hopefully, I'd like to see the channel make it through the 2,000 subscribers before the end of the year. So it'd be good to get that done. Would be really nice. So if you want, feel free to spread the word about the channel and push it around in various areas. Let people know if you think of people that might be interested in the channel. Just spread it around. The more it gets spread around, then the more viewers will become, people will become aware of it and subscribe to the channel and all of that. Now, there'll never be another remake of On the Buses for the simple reason, as I've said before, the rights are tied up by Ronnie Wolf and Ronnie Chesney's estate. Ronnie Wolf and Ronnie Chesney always stated when this question came up at the events, and they said, would there be a remake? And they point blank said no, because On the Buses was all about the cast, made it what it was. Without the cast, it would have been nothing. So obviously the cast have all passed away now. That's been transferred on to the family, the estates of them. So they hold dear their parents' thoughts on it. So there's no way that they would sign up for it to be remade. I don't know what you mean by do you do the still game as well? I'm a fan of still game. You see the poster up there behind it. For me, it's definitely the best sitcom of the 2000s anyway. Here you see a picture frame that I got, and it's been signed by a few people as well, which is where I really like this. It's been signed by Isa, Janet McCarry, Jim McCarry, and Gavin Mitchell. Gavin Mitchell, actually, he's actually like I met him at the Scottish Comic Con, and he actually worked with Stephen Lewis on a series called Revolver. Really nice bloke, and he remembers something really nice about him. He said there was a scene that he was filming with him, and he had to be. We'll just hang that back up. He had to be really angry or something like that, and the producer wasn't happy, and he told him to cut. He said, "No, Stephen, we need it really angry, really angry animated thing." And then he said they started filming again. He just clicked right into Blakey mode or something. According to Gavin Mitchell, he said that Stephen Lewis used to go. He used to keep his fake moustache in a little tin box, and he showed it to him when they were working on the filming of Revolver. Yeah, we could throw the Porridge one in there, which was absolutely painfully bad. I mean, the terrible decision by the BBC was to totally ignore Goodnight Sweetheart. The one episode they done on that looked like it had far more potential than but they chose to remake Porridge instead of giving another series or two to Goodnight Sweetheart, which was all the original cast were all in it as well. So keep your questions coming in. If you've got any more questions, just post them up. I'll answer them as soon as I see them on the screen. Certainly do, Fox. We'll just throw out as well, since we've got Fox Mulder here anyway. There's his channel there. A great place to go over if your filming locations is your thing. Fox Mulder's covering locations over there from Full Metal Jacket. He's also got the ones about from Lovejoy, and lots more on the way there as well. He's also got a video up there from on the buses, holiday on the buses as well, detailing all the cuts and everything like that to the film. So lots of things there. Get across there and subscribe across there if you're filming locations and other sorts are your thing. Yeah, Fox, I'm always willing to chip in on that front. Um, yeah, you always get those videos coming up. The apartments that they filmed at, the block that they filmed at, is still there, apart from one block at the top, which is sort of like where they hide the toilet in the bushes. So there would have been where they hide the toilet, where the toilet stands as the camera's looking at it. The block that was behind them, that's the only block there in that square that they filmed in, predominantly all the scenes. That's the only one that doesn't remain. But Mavis's chalet's still there. The chalet, the external chalet of the Butlers and the Briggs, that's all still there. But bear in mind, as I said, they didn't actually film in the chalets. That was all filmed at Elstree. So keep your questions coming in. Yeah, that got scrapped in the 1980s, Fat Lad. That got scrapped a good long time ago. So keep your videos coming in. Keep your questions coming in. I've got videos on the brain, and I'll answer them for you as soon as I see them on the screen. Don't know what other videos you've got there, Fox Mulder, isn't there? And Woman in Black as well. There's some filming locations from that. For those of you that are on the Facebook channel, by the way, the Facebook group where I'm running through all the filming locations, we start Mutiny on the Buses, be entering into the Mutiny on the Buses filming locations in the coming maybe a couple of days. Well, as I say, I'll be doing the walking tour in maybe March time. Maybe it might be March, sometime in March. Do a walking tour of the filming locations, and there may be something later in the year as well, but nothing concrete on that yet. Just watch this group and watch my Facebook group for any news on any such events and such like. And just, I'll put it across here again, just so that people know, just bear in mind that I have nothing at all whatsoever to do with the fan club events. That's nothing at all to do with me. So anybody, because I had this before, somebody went to an event and they weren't happy about it and they were contacting me asking questions and had nothing at all to do with me. That's why I like to get across their events are absolutely nothing to do with me. So anyone goes to their events and they've got a problem with it and want to get a refund or something, they'll come asking me because it's not my events. As I say, watch this space for any events that I'm involved in, which would be an official, like a Holiday on the Buses cast reunion event. If there's anything like that that comes about later on in the year, then I will post up details about that on this channel and on my Facebook group and on the Facebook group that is actually dedicated to those events. Oh, I would say it was with I don't know. It's probably um, the conversation I maybe had with Hal Dyer at the book launch. After that, I had a glass of wine with her at a bar next to the venue that I had the book launch in. That was really good. Speaking to how find the real reason why Michael left on the buses. That's probably one. Um, um, Conversations with Anna as well were always good. Finding out stuff from Anna as well was always good. She always spoke her mind and was always forthright and didn't hold back. Um, Stuart Allen was always a good to listen to as well. Stuart Allen always was a great mine of information. And John Lyons, of course, as well. So there are quite a few really that I can't just sort of like say, oh, that for sure, if you know what I mean. Yeah, the first film was the biggest seller at the box office in '71. Although it's often said that the like it beat Diamonds and Forever into second place, but I wouldn't really read too much into that because it's a little bit unfair to judge Diamonds or Forever because that was only released released at the box office and I think on Boxing Day 1971. So it only had 5 days of the year to get its box office receipts in. So obviously it wasn't really top on the buses. If it had come out earlier in the year, then it would have been the top box office earner. But the On the Buses film was the top box office earner for Hammer anyway. No, it was like the Carry On films. It wasn't something that really transferred well to the States, but other places, obviously, in the world that it was very popular, and were places like Australia, New Zealand, Canada, um, places like Finland, they like Scandinavia, and the Low Countries in Europe, like Belgium, Holland, Germany, places like that. Right, my voice is nearly given out on me here. I'm going to go and get myself a cup of tea. I've been online for nearly 2.5 hours. It was in the rag trade, and the and beggar my neighbour, amongst other things. Obviously, it was in the great the St. Trinian's train robbery. It was also in the TV version of Best Pair of Legs in the Business. As you can hear, my voice is giving up now, so I'm going to call it a night. I've been online for nearly 2.5 hours, so I hope you all enjoyed this New Year, first of the New Year question time. And I'll say goodbye to you all. Okay, thanks for popping in. Thanks everyone for the asking the questions. Thanks for the donation as well. The very generous donation from Lisa as well. That's really welcome. And I'll say a very good night to you.